This video is brought to you by IX Web Hosting. Now, for you guys, you can get a 7-day free trial and a 10% discount by going to falconmedia.com/tthost. Alright, what's going on everybody? It is Mark here from obviouslytech.com, and today I'm going to be showing you how to create this cool eyelids effect, kind of looking from a POV, a point of view of yourself or the person in your video or whatever you want to do. So basically what we're doing is we're going to have a top eyelid and a bottom eyelid. They're going to both close and open in synchronization, in sync with each other. And we're going to add in a little blur just to make it kind of that, I don't want to get up, blurred, my eyes are adjusting to this new way of life in the morning and all that jazz. So let's get started. So very simply, first of all, of course, bring in your clip. You can just use the open function here or click and drag in your clip. Very simple. Then we need to right click and insert a new video track up here. And we're going to come to media generators. If you can't see media generators, it's view. And make sure media generators is ticked. Now what we need to do is we need to find the solid color and drag down our black color. This is going to act as our eyelid. First of all, before we get into changing the size and all of that, we need to go into video effects, border, soft edge, click and drag it down onto our black media generator. Now I'm going to put mine at about 0.08, that's just a nice kind of fade I like in, and I'm going to keep it at blurred. Now as you can see here we have a nice kind of fade in on the edges of our media generator. Now what this is it's kind of going to act as just a fade for our eyelid, so it doesn't look like a straight black line. And there's a few ways you could do that, like with masking and stuff like that. There's also a few ways you could do this whole effect, but this is the way I like it. So next thing we need to do is go into the track motion of our eyelid. And actually right before we do that, if you see over here in this box, we're going to double click here and name this TE. That stands for top eyelid, okay? And we're going to come into the track motion, click on that, and there we go. And the first thing we need to do is just enlarge our eyelid so it fills the whole screen, or just the left and right portions of the screen so we don't have that blurred there. And there we go. Now what I need to do is I need to make sure that I click on this prevent movement X here, okay? And that means that I can only move this up and down, okay? If I move my mouse around, I still can't move it on the X axis. I can only move it on the Y axis, okay? That is very simple, okay? Very, very, very simple. Now what I want to do here is I want to reset these both to 0. So that's at its center. And I'm going to right click and duplicate this video track. It's going to say copy of TE. I'm going to rename that BE. It's going to act as our bottom eyelid. Okay, now we're going to go back up to our top eyelid and work on that for the moment. Back into our track motion. So what we need to do is we want our eyelids to start off closed, right? So first of all, you need to realize that closed means the top eyelid is half open. So it's going to be halfway through our screen, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to mute this, which is our bottom eyelid. Mute that. Come back into the track motion of our top eyelid. Now as you can see, as I move it down, you can see that we still have the fade in effect there, which kind of, you know, it looks a little bit nicer than a straight line. I want this to be about halfway through the screen. Now our height here would be 1080, so halfway would be 540, but we also have to take into account the fade itself, which is, it's not just a straight line, so it's not going to be exactly 540. I have mine around 537 there. And you can be a bit more accurate if you want, you know, very, very precise. But 537 there for me looks good. So that's going to be closed. So I'm going to come up to preset here and type TE, top eyelid, closed. I'm going to click this floppy. That's going to save the preset. Now I want to move in 2 seconds, okay? Now you can use this little plus here to enlarge your timeline. Also another tip I suggest you use is the sync cursor. So you click this, when you scroll here on your keyframe timeline, it's going to scroll over here on your main timeline also. So we're going to go to 2 seconds and click this plus button, create a keyframe. Now what we want this to do is we want our top eyelid to open. Very simple, right? So we're going to click and drag it up, but we want to drag it up just so it's just above our clip, okay? So it's just out of reach. We're going to click in the top preset, TE, open. Okay, because that's our top eyelid open. Now if we come from start, we have our top eyelid opening, okay? Now we're going to close it again at 4 seconds. And as I said, you can sync it up with your timeline over here. That's on 5 seconds mark. Man. Oh, rad. Then we need to click create a new keyframe again. I'm going to click the little drop down menu, top eyelid, closed. And that's going to automatically set the preset back to top eyelid closed. So if we can see there, it's closed, it opens, it closes again. Okay, very simple. Now what we need to do is we need to do the opposite with the bottom eyelid. Okay, we need to get it to do the same thing but from the opposite end, like the bottom of the screen to the top. So we're going to unmute that and mute the top track. Okay, very simple. Then we're going to come into the track motion of BE of our bottom eyelid. Now this will be the same size as our top eyelid since we duplicated it. So what we're going to do is we're going to click and drag it down. And we need to get this halfway, right? So when we're doing this, we can unmute our top eyelid. And there we can see that as we move up the bottom eyelid, we can see that the fade there, we start to interlap, and we need to get rid, just make sure the clip is not visible, just about there, okay? So we're going to save that as BE bottom eyelid closed, because that's our bottom eyelid closed. Now we need to come to 2 seconds, and if you're not going to 2 seconds, you can always sync up your keyframes here, okay? I mean, our keyframe here is at 2 seconds, and with our sync to cursor, this is going to automatically sync up. So I'm going to click create keyframe. Then I need this to be the bottom eyelid open, right? So I'm going to click here and use my arrow key to just get it completely just about out of the screen, out of the preview screen. And there we go, it is completely out. I'm going to save this preset as BE open, bottom eyelid open. And then again, we're going to come to the 4 second mark or wherever your next mark is, your next keyframe. If you just click on the keyframe, it'll bring you to the exact time frame. Then you're going to click create keyframe, and we want our bottom eyelid to go back to closed, bottom eyelid closed. Okay, we play that back. Our eyelids are both opening and both closing. Very, very simple. Now we're going to take a quick minute just to mention the sponsors of today's video, and I want you to know that I would honestly only promote good sponsors, people who I think are reliable. Now with over 500,000 customers trusting them since 1999, IX Web Hosting is one of the most popular and trusted web hosts out there. For as little as $3.95 a month, you can receive unlimited web hosting for as many domains as you like. Now also with each package comes a free domain name, 24/7 phone and live chat support, and much more. Now for my viewers, as I mentioned at the start of the video, you can get a 7-day free trial and a 10% discount by going to falconmedia.com/tthost or clicking the link in the description and using the coupon code on screen. Now our web developer Zach will even help you to design your own website when you sign up through us. So that's falconmedia.com/tthost to start your free trial today. Now, if you want to create a pause, I'm not going to do a full pause here because I don't want to run way over time. But if you want this to open and then stay open for a while, what you need to do is say you want it to stay open until 4 seconds. Okay, so 4 seconds here. You want your eyelid to stay open. What you need to do is you need to create a keyframe here and say top eyelid open. And then if you want your eyelid to close at 6 seconds, come over here to 6 seconds, create a keyframe, so we'll delete that. Create keyframe, bottom eyelid, or top eyelid, excuse me, closed. Right, so we're going to ignore the bottom eyelid here and just look at the top eyelid. It opens, now it stops, and then it starts to close again. So you can do that with the bottom eyelid too if you want to create kind of a joined effect, where you want the eyelids to pause and look open, and I won't do that for time purposes, but it's very easy to do, as you can see. Now, the last thing I want to do is I want to add in an actual blur. Okay, so a blurring effect. So we're going to work on basically the very first 2 seconds of the clip here where our eyes are opening and closing, because obviously these aren't in sync. If you want to add the pause to the bottom one, you can go ahead and do that. I'm going to do that right now, and I'm not going to show it in the recording just to save time. Okay, so we're back. I just added in the pause here in the bottom eyelid also. Exact same as the top eyelid, okay? It's the very, very same procedure. So just take your time, watch the video over. If you need to read through it, there's a link in the description where you can read through the instructions. Now, what I said we were going to do now is add in a blur, okay? Just to kind of, you know, you open your eyes at first. We want a nice blur, just to be like, my eyes are, you know, adjusting to the light and all that jazz. You could also use kind of a glow if you wanted to use that here, you know, a glow, drag on a default, but I'm going to use a Gaussian blur. I'm going to drag down the default onto our video clip now, okay? So I'm going to X out of this first, and we need to just ignore our eyelids now. We're done with them for the moment. So I'm going to click on the top eyelid, control click on this part, okay? So we have the two video tracks here. Right click, track group, group selected tracks. I'm going to double click here and say eyelids. Now I can click this little arrow and they are completely collapsed in here. We don't have to worry about them taking up space in our workspace here. Now I'm going to come back down here to the event effects, click on that, and our Gaussian blur is back. So you can adjust the Gaussian blur to however strong or weak you want it, and yeah, very simple. You can just adjust your horizontal and vertical ranges here, and as you experiment more, you're going to notice that the blur can be very, very extreme or very, very weak. Now, I wouldn't advise going too extreme for this effect, unless of course you want to. It's completely up to you. Now, what I'm going to be showing you is how to incorporate this into your eyelids video. You can do it however you want, but this is what I think, you know, I like. So opening it first, it's going to be blurred, and then I think it should gradually fade back onto the normal video. So I'm going to click S here. Okay, click here on the clip, click S. Right, so this first clip is completely blurred. Okay, then we come back onto this clip and it's completely blurred still. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this, click right click, copy, and I'm going to right click, insert a video track. Now I want this video track just to be right above my video clip. And please, oh my days, people keep messaging me and texting me and tweeting me and Facebooking me and all this stuff. Never been so popular in my life. Interrupting my tutorials. Anyway, let's ignore that. So, yeah, sorry, I get worked up, man. What we're going to do here is we're going to click and just drag up our clip onto this new video track. So this is one with the blur. I'm going to click here and right click and click paste. So this is our copied clip. Now what we want to do with our copied clip is come into event effects and basically get rid of the Gaussian blur, so remove selected plugin. Okay, so if we mute this track, what we have here is we have a blurred, and bam, this is unblurred. If we unmute this, it's still blurred here, okay? So these both have the exact same settings, and basically it looks like this clip isn't here. If we take this away, nothing can be seen differently, because this top video track is blocking out this one. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the fade about here. So I'm going to click S, delete the rest of this clip here, okay? Get rid of this here, okay. So what I want to do now is I'm just going to fade this out. You can make the fade however long or short you want. I'm going to play this back, eyelids opening. So it's blurred here, okay, it's still blurred, and now as you can see here on our timeline, we're approaching the slow gradient to fade out the blurring. Now the blurring is faded out and we're back to the original video. Okay, and then you can continue with your video editing and all that jazz. Now, I know some of it's a bit complicated. I tried to explain the best I could. The eyelids effect, great effect, can really, you know, play into your videos, make things cool, spice it up a little bit. And yeah, the blur is just an added effect if you want to add that in to make it more convincing. And yeah, it's just for fun. But I hope this helped. If it did, let me know if you have any ideas that you want to see. Any, you know, cool effects like this or completely different from this, and I'll try and get working on them and see what I can do. And if you request something cool, I'll shout out your name in a video and be like, yo, what's up? Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I will see you guys next time, and yeah, appreciate it. Thanks. Peace.